So let's talk about a classic for a moment, and of course, a recent movie, with Batman the Killing Joke. The original comic was written by Alan Moore, with the art being done by Brian Balland, while the movie was produced by Bruce Timm and written by Brian Azzarello, as well as featuring voice talents of Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, Tara Strong, and Ray Wise. The original comic is a classic tale of Batman and the Joker, with Batman going to talk to Joker, trying to convince him to stop because the two are on essentially a collision course, which will end with one of them killing the other. But he soon discovers the Joker's already escaped and is preparing one of his most sinister schemes ever. He kidnaps Commissioner Gordon after shooting and then tormenting his daughter Barbara Gordon, aka Batgirl, and with Batman fast on his trail, with Joker planning to prove that anyone can be just like him after one very bad day. All the while we see flashbacks of what is often considered Joker's origin story about his own very bad day. The movie is of course the same story with an extra 30 minutes added on to make it feature length. These 30 minutes are highly contested and I have to admit not a good addition, it's just kinda there. And yes, there is a part where Batman and Batgirl have sex and it's also kind of just there. It's never really mentioned after that moment, and honestly, it really has no place in the overall movie. But when you consider who produced and wrote it, it kind of makes sense, and I'll leave a link that explains what I mean below. It's kind of an eye-opener when you realize it all. The story as a whole serves about 3 critical points for both Batman and the DCU as a whole. First off, this serves as one of the, if not the greatest, Batman vs. the Joker stories, with Joker putting Batman to his limits and testing to see if Batman will finally end him and ultimately prove Joker right. See, that's the thing. Joker doesn't have to drive Commissioner Gordon crazy in order to prove he's right. If he can get Batman driven crazy, he still proves he's right. So in the end, the Joker can still win. This also has in it what's commonly considered to be the Joker's true origin story. However, the thing about the Joker is he has a lot of origin stories. There was even a rather good backup issue of Batman Endgame about the whole multiple origins thing, which is both sinister and hilarious at the same time. But when most people talk about his origin story, they reference this story, at least in some way, shape, or form, even though in the very story, Joker admits that he likes changing up his backstory all the time. As he says in his own words, if he has a past, why not make a multiple choice? Of course, doesn't even get into the whole 3 Jokers thing we'll find out later after Darkseid War. That's a whole nother issue. And finally, it serves as the origin story and basically the creation of Oracle. Basically, after losing her ability to walk, Barbara Gordon took up the identity of Oracle, acting as a sort of superhero mission control, and basically being a super hacker. If you play DCU online, then Oracle is the one who sends you off on missions and whatnot in that game. This also leads to a number of other characters appearing, taking on the identity of Batgirl, including one of the best additions to the Batman lore in Cassandra Cain, who was a whole other story for a whole other day we'll get into some point later. You know, this story is very important to comics and DC as a whole, but it's funny to think about it as that because it wasn't even supposed to be canon when it came out. Yeah, that's right, this wasn't even canon before it was retconned into place. Basically, DC saw how popular the story was and worked into overall canon. Hell, it's even canon as far as New 52 is concerned, which wiped the slate clean of a number of different stories. Yeah, it's still canon, because they mentioned in Batgirl, the more recent Batgirl series, that Batgirl had at one point lost her ability to walk and now has regained it. It's also kind of funny because Cassandra Cain, who was one of the people who became Batgirl, wasn't even a character in New 52 until Batman and Robin Eternal, which is, again, whole nother talk right there. Overall, adding it to canon was a pretty good decision for DC, leading to a number of interesting choices and, of course, adding to the story's importance. Now, as for the movie, after you get past the first 30 minutes, it's a great adaptation. Seeing, or rather listening to, Mark Hamill return to role of the Joker, and the Joker even darker than he's ever played him, and I'm also including the Arkham games in that, it's just amazing, and that speech is incredible. It gives me chills listening to Mark Hamill finally say that speech. If you know what I'm talking about, you feel the same thing. Kevin Conroy is just as awesome as Batman. Great to have him back as well. And they both show why they're the best choices to voice Batman and Joker for the animated feature. So yeah, just get past the first 30 minutes and you won't be disappointed. Although the movie and the book share one minor flaw. They're both pretty short, which is why they had on the 30 minutes in the first place. It's a good while it lasts, but it's ultimately pretty short. It's like a really good but really quick meal. You ultimately wish there was a bit more. Hell, the reprint of the more recent comic adds a backup story to increase the length of it, which is also a pretty good story, even though it kind of feels out of place with Killing Joke. Again, this is a great comic, classic. The movie's good once you get past the crappy bit. And if you're a fan of Batman, you won't be disappointed. Just again, in terms of movie, get past the first 30 minutes. If you have it on DVD, just, use the start feature button or fast forward and whatnot. If you're watching it on the internet or streaming it, just find a timestamp. And again, once you're there, you're there. So, highly recommended. Because, again, it's a classic. It's Batman: The Killing Joke. That's all. That's literally all I could have said for this review, and it still would have been accurate. So yeah, till next time.